Being a black woman in America is not a single experience. It's layered. It's complex. It's shaped by history, culture, family, and the quiet moments no one sees. It's strength learned early, sometimes before it's understood. It's carrying pride and pressure at the same time. For many black women, identity starts forming long before adulthood. It begins in childhood, in how the world looks at you, in how you're spoken to, and what's expected of you. There's often an early awareness that you must be strong, even when you're still figuring out who you are. That strength is praised, but rarely questioned. And sometimes, it comes at the cost of softness. Growing up, black women learn how to read rooms quickly, how to adjust their tone, how to shrink or expand themselves depending on the space they're in. Not because they want to, but because experience teaches them it's necessary. There's a constant balancing act between authenticity and survival. At the same time, there is deep beauty in black womanhood. Beauty rooted in culture, in rhythm, in language, in laughter that fills a room. Beauty passed down through family traditions, Sunday mornings, kitchen conversations, and stories told without ever being written down. Beauty that exists, even when the world tries to define it narrowly. Generational wisdom is one of the strongest threads connecting black women across time. Lessons passed from grandmothers to mothers, from aunties to daughters. Lessons about resilience, about dignity, about knowing your worth, even when it's challenged daily. Some of that wisdom comes wrapped in love. Some of it comes wrapped in warning. There are things black women are taught explicitly. Work hard, be respectful, protect yourself. And there are things they learn quietly: how to carry pain without showing it, how to keep going when rest feels like a luxury, how to love deeply while guarding your heart. In everyday life, black women navigate spaces where they are often seen before they are heard. Their confidence can be mistaken for attitude, their passion mistaken for aggression, their boundaries questioned. Yet they continue to show up at work, in families, in communities, carrying responsibilities that often go unseen. There is also joy, real joy. Joy in shared experiences, joy in sisterhood, joy in moments that don't need explanation, joy in creativity, expression, style, and self-discovery. Joy that exists not because life is easy, but because joy itself is an act of resistance. Black women laugh loudly, love fiercely, and support one another in ways that don't always get credit. They create safe spaces where healing happens naturally. They uplift each other, sometimes without realizing how powerful that support truly is. But alongside the joy is struggle. Struggle that doesn't always make headlines. Struggle that lives in daily micro moments, being overlooked, misunderstood, underestimated. Struggle that comes from carrying expectations that feel heavier than they should. There's pressure to succeed, pressure to represent, pressure to be strong for everyone else, pressure to hold families together, to show up for communities, to keep pushing even when exhaustion sets in. And yet, vulnerability is often discouraged. Rest is postponed. Self-care is delayed. Still, black women continue to define themselves on their own terms. More and more are choosing to unlearn the idea that strength means silence. They are redefining what it means to be powerful, allowing space for softness, honesty, and emotional truth. There comes a moment in many black women's lives when they begin to separate who they were taught to be from who they actually are. It often happens quietly, through reflection, experience, and sometimes exhaustion. It is the realization that carrying everything alone was never the requirement. It was just what survival once demanded. As black women grow into themselves, they start to question the lessons that were passed down out of necessity rather than choice. Strength, for example, has long been celebrated as a defining trait, but strength without rest can become a burden. Strength without softness can become isolation. And more black women are learning that they don't have to earn their right to be human. Generational wisdom doesn't disappear. It evolves. What once meant enduring silently now becomes knowing when to speak. What once meant self-sacrifice at all costs now becomes balance. Black women are honoring the sacrifices of those who came before them while also choosing healing where pain was normalized. There is power in that choice. Everyday black womanhood includes navigating spaces that were not built with you in mind, whether it's the workplace, healthcare, education, or social environments. There's often a need to be hyper-aware, to anticipate misunderstanding, to prepare for being underestimated. And yet, there is also pride in showing up as yourself anyway. Black women learn to trust their intuition early. It becomes a guide through spaces where they are not always protected. It informs decisions about relationships, careers, friendships, and boundaries. That intuition is sharpened by experience, passed down through stories, warnings, and lived truth. At the same time, Black women find joy in the familiar, in shared language, humor, and cultural references that don't need explanation. In music that feels like memory, in traditions that connect past to present, in moments of celebration that feel deeply earned. There's beauty in how Black women create community wherever they go, in how they show up for one another, even when resources are limited, in how they check on each other, uplift each other, and celebrate each other's wins, big or small. Joy doesn't always look extravagant. Sometimes it looks like peace, like laughter after a long day, like choosing rest without guilt, like allowing yourself to feel without apology. And still, there are challenges that linger, being expected to lead but rarely